Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahat Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'm going to start it off with an article on HindustanTimes.com titled, Great Depression Warning Issued to World by ICC Amid Tariff War Risks. Internet fumes at bunch of billionaires. And, as you should know, this Tuesday, Donald Trump, enacted those tariffs he promised to put on Canada and Mexico, mainly them two, and I believe China as well, last month. And as we're going to see in this article on social media, there's talks of a second, Great Depression taking place as a result of the tariffs. And we'll just have to wait and see how much pressure, these tariffs put on these other countries and on the United States of America, because even Donald Trump said, hey, prices are going to go up and it's going to get tough. But regardless, we know through biblical prophecy that economies will crash and economic pain and suffering is coming, especially to Babylon the Great, the United States of America. But the article reads, Trump triggered a fresh trade dispute with the top 3 U.S. trading partners when he imposed fresh 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. If United States Donald Trump doesn't back down from its plan to impose high import tariffs, the global economy might collapse like the Great Depression of the 1930s, warned a senior official at the International Chamber of Commerce. So, hey, it's not just some random asshole on X saying these things. It's people in high positions with a, certain amount of knowledge and access to information. Andrew Wilson, Deputy Secretary General of the ICC, which supports international commerce and trade, expressed his great concern that this may be the beginning of a downward cycle that would put us in the trade war era of the 1930s, the WSJ reported. A catastrophic worldwide recession during the decade was exacerbated by high taxes on foreign goods imported into the United States. The International Monetary Fund found that the slump cut production in powerful industrial economies like the US and Germany by 50% and drove almost a third of the world's workers into unemployment. Great Depression trends as Trump triggers trade war with tariffs on Canada, China, and Mexico. Trump triggered a fresh trade dispute with the top 3 U.S. trading partners when he announced double penalties on Chinese goods to 20% and imposed fresh 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. The tariff steps went into effect after Trump stated that all 3 nations failed to do enough to stop the flow of the deadly fentanyl drug and its precursor chemicals into the United States. The tariff has the potential to disrupt almost $2.2 trillion in two-way yearly U.S. trade. Trump's announcement prompts recession fears. The impact of the duties on Canadian and Mexican goods may be far more profound for the closely interconnected North American economy, which relies on cross-border exports to process agricultural products, refine petroleum, and make automobiles and machinery. And, China just recently said, look, with these U.S. tariffs coming our way, we're planning on sending tariffs America's way by putting tariffs on U.S. agricultural goods that come to us. Today's reckless decision by the U.S. administration is forcing Canada and the U.S. toward recessions, job losses, Slovakia, don't know what the hell that was. All right. Janky ass websites. Today's reckless decision by the U.S. administration is forcing Canada and the U.S. toward recessions, job losses, and economic disaster, said Candace Lang, CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, in a statement. So before we continue reading, I'm going to go to Ecclesiastes in the Bible, chapter 12, verse 4. In that day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. And real quick, this is on etymologyonline.com. The origin and history of the word economy, 1530s, household management, from Latin oikonomia, source French economy, Spanish economia, German economy, etc. From Greek oikonomia, household management, manager, steward, from oikos, house. So back in Ecclesiastes 12 and 3, in that day when the keepers of the house shall tremble. So what? Those that are in tune with the economy. You know, these people on Wall Street and these other economic analysts. And what do we just read with that paragraph? The impact. Today's reckless decision by the U.S. administration is forcing Canada and the U.S. toward recessions, job losses, and economic disaster, said Candace Lang, CEO of Canadian Chamber of Commerce. You know, commerce goes into what? Business, the economy. And then what's that other guy? Andrew Wilson, Deputy Secretary General of the ICC, the International, Commerce and Trade, expressed his great concern that this may be the beginning of a downward cycle that would put us in the trade war era of the 1930s and trigger another Great Depression. So, in that day when the keepers of the house, the economy shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease, because they are few. And, when you're on your grind, you're working. So what? Grinders ceasing because they are few. People losing jobs out here and, businesses shutting down so people can't even get jobs. And those that look out of the windows be darkened. They don't see a future because things are bad out here, which you can find countless videos online of people just complaining about how this current standard of living crisis is just destroying them. And the doors shall be shut in the streets, these businesses closing up, when the sound of the grinding, working is low. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. So like I said towards the beginning of the video, regardless of how intense this trade war possibly turns out to be, just know that down the pipeline, great economic turmoil, Great Depression is coming. And, that's exactly what the elites want, Trump's true handlers, because they want to, crash this current system and have that great RESET, bringing in this digital cashless society with these CBDCs, 15-minute cities. And the only way you're going to be able to, partake in this new system they want to bring is having that micro C-hip implant, the mark of the BEAST in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 18 in you. According to her, supply networks would be disrupted and consumer and producer expenses will increase as a result of the U.S. tariffs. Tariffs are a tax on the American people. All right. After Trump confirmed that the tariffs would go ahead, safe haven bonds soared and global stocks collapsed, sending financial markets into a tailspin. In that day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, both Mexican peso and Canadian dollar declined against the US dollar. Amidst these worries and warnings from the experts, Great Depression phrase started trending on X, with one Trump critic saying, "We're heading for a Great Depression at the rate this orange scumbag is slashing and burning our economy. Hashtag Trump is unfit for office." The last time America increased tariffs like this, it was 1930, and it triggered the Great Depression, a third user reacted. There are a bunch of billionaires sitting around in the White House attempting to engineer the Great Depression, and they might actually get it because everyone is so fucking stupid. One more commented. But that's it with this article. So, nothing more but doom and gloom in the headlines, because we are coming into the times of Jacob's trouble, worse than any other time in human history. But now, I'm going to go to my next article on BuzzFeed.com. Fox News had a counter showing the stock market dropping in real time as Trump spoke, and it's bleak. Where's that meme of the dog drinking coffee while the room is on fire? If you're not a doom scroller, then I'm sorry to inform you that President Donald Trump declared 25% tariffs on our neighbors, Canada and Mexico, and a 10% tariff on Chinese imported goods. The tariffs took effect at midnight last night, and both Mexico and Canada's leaders have announced retaliation effectors, including possibly shutting off the electricity that Canada provides to the United States. Excuse my French, but it's all quite the clusterfuck. And our economy is responding accordingly. In fact, during a segment about the tariffs on Fox News, a widget displaying a live look at the Dow Jones could be seen declining at a staggering speed in the corner as Donald Trump spoke. And let's play this clip. Fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this video, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes.
The United States has been taken
And look at the bottom right.
advantage of for 40 years. The United States has been a laughingstock for years and years. That's why this gentleman is built in Taiwan instead of building here. It would have been better if he built here if we had a president that knew what they were doing. And we had a lot of them very bad on trade.
As Trump remarked about previous presidents being very bad on trade, the live Dow watch can be seen ticking down from $43,197.38 to $43,192.88 to $43,185.51 in 20 seconds. But at the time of publishing, the Dow Jones has fallen 650 points, and according to CNN, the S&P 500 just experienced its biggest one-day decline in 2025. See with this article. This is Zephaniah chapter 1. I'm going to read verses 10 to 11. And it shall come to place in that day, saith Yahweh, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate. And fish gate, place of commerce. And an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills. And on the one hand, when you look at those charts showing, economic gains and economic declines, when it's a gain, it's that green arrow jagging upwards, and when there's a decline, it's that green arrow dragging downwards. And what does it look like? That jagged shape it makes looks like the outline of a mountain or a hill. So when it goes down, what? A crashing of the hills. And then also, in the scriptures, mountains and governments can be symbolic for governments. So what? Economies of these different hills or governments crashing, which, as we've been going into with those two previous articles, with these tariffs going into place, it's causing a lot of disruptions out here. And in some instances, some stock bonds have already crashed. Verse 11, how ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. The houses being shut in the streets and the grinders ceasing because the grinding or the working is low. And these tariffs could very well be the beginning of, that second Great Depression, which, brothers as well as myself have been prophesying about. But regardless, through biblical prophecy, we know that these things are coming. This is Isaiah chapter 24. I'm going to read verses 7 to 11 because, to the average dildo-headed American out here, they think, well, it's going to either, if they're a MAGA-tard, this is going to help out America. We're going to be good. Just to the other side of the coin, yeah, things might get a little pricey, but we're America. We can never go down. But hey, it's going to be America at the end of the day that's going to feel the pain the most, because the greatest judgment is coming to America. And, as people continue to, de-dollarize, what's that going to do? Shoot the inflation here that much higher. We will see hyperinflation and, hey, superinflation. But this is Isaiah 24. I'm going to read verses 7 to 11. The new wine mourneth, the vine languisheth, all the merry-hearted do sigh. The mirth of the tabret ceaseth, the noise of them that rejoice endeth, the joy of the harp ceaseth. And, you've really noticed it with these last couple of holidays in America, that joyful mirth spirit is not here anymore. You had a lot of people complain during Christmas that this just doesn't feel like Christmas anymore. A lot of people are cash strapped to where they can't even buy anything. It's getting to the point to where you're going to have to count every penny you got. Verse 9, they shall not drink wine with the song. Strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. Drinking your sorrows away and doing drugs to get high, to, forget about the terrible reality of your situation. The city of confusion is broken down. And in the Hebrew, Babylon is Babel, or confusion, which, America is known as Babylon the Great in the scriptures. So the city of confusion, America, Babylon is broken down. Every house is shut up. Hey, economic declines leading to businesses, shutting down and workers being laid off, that no man may come in. There's a crying for wine in the streets. People looking for answers out here. What can we do to make the situation better, or what's going to happen next? All joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. And, you're going to find what's going to happen next from the prophets of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, chiefly GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers coming in the spirit of GMS, who are going into the news and reading the scriptures, and then filtering the news through the scriptures to put up video epistles like this to let you know what times you're living in. But now I'm going to go to my last article on Fox59.com. Canadian Premier says he will cut off electricity exports to U.S. with a smile on my face. Ontario Premier Doug Ford said Monday he is prepared to cut off electricity exports to the U.S. if President Trump's 25% tariffs on Canadian goods go through, which they have gone through. So it remains to be seen what Doug Ford is going to do next. If they want to try to annihilate Ontario, I will do everything, including cut off their energy with a smile on my face, Ford told reporters at a mining convention in downtown Toronto, the Toronto Sun reported. Ford doubled down on his pledge to retaliate by matching tariffs, noting the U.S. is a major customer of Canada's electricity. They rely on our energy. They need to feel the pain. They want to come at us hard. We're going to come back twice as hard, he said. The Sun reported Ford said he would go dollar for dollar in matching tariffs. That's exactly what we're going to do. Ford suggested the federal and provincial governments are unified in their approach to fighting U.S. tariffs. The provinces have a big say in it, but it's the federal government that's leading the charge, and we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder no matter who's in the federal government. I didn't start this tariff war, but we're going to win this tariff war, Ford added. Read the last paragraph. The president, speaking of Trump, also announced reciprocal tariffs will start April 2nd, which will cover imports from all nations that levy import taxes on U.S. goods. So Donald Trump isn't playing around. And like many brothers and myself have been saying, it's looking like he could very well be that cruel Lord in Isaiah chapter 19 to rule over Egypt. Also another name for America in the scriptures. But as we see in this article, Canada has always been a close ally of the United States of America. They're part of NATO. And now they're saying, look, if you want to put the hurt on us, hey, we'll put that hurt right back on you. Which brings me to the book of Obadiah. I'm going to read verse 1, jump down to verse 7. And this whole chapter is dedicated to the judgment and the downfall of you Edomites, or so-called white people. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord Yahweh concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from Yahweh, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. And, these nations are doing that economically right now. Just look at the BRICS, a financial alternative to, SWIFT and the Western economic system. And it's ultimately going to lead to it being a physical confrontation with these nations going against the West, chiefly the U.S., during World War III. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And, with Trump running roughshod with these tariffs and these sanctions and these threats, that's just going to make Esau that much more hated and his reputation, that much smaller among the heathens and greatly despised. But now I'm going to jump down to verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy, or your allies, which Canada is a major ally of the U.S., have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread, receive all this economic and military aid from the U.S., have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him. And as we just read from that last article, you got people in Canada saying, look, if the U.S. wants to play hardball against us, hey, we're going to play hardball back against them. All the men of thy confederacy, have brought thee even to the border and laid that wound under thee. And America is just going to continue to become a pariah on the world stage. And what it's ultimately going to lead to is nuclear missiles hitting this place and turning it into the biblical lake of fire and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland afterwards. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharallah, and until next time, Shalom.